On the news tonight, President Bola Tinubu presents 2025 national budget. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori charges President Generals of communities to employ dialogue at resolving disputes. Senate President expresses disappointment over criticisms on tax reforms bill. And abroad, U.S. Democratic lawmakers calls for halt on transfers of offensive weapons to Israel. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on Delta Television News tonight. My name is Pauline, adding that it would trigger prosperity in Nigeria in 2025 if well implemented. They said the budget would consolidate on key policies of the federal government. President Tinubu said Nigerians had shown resilience in the face of economic challenges. Hence, the 2025 budget would leverage on that spirit to drive economic growth. He emphasized that Nigeria had recorded improvements in infrastructure and security. President Tinubu noted that the economic stimulus of the nation worked in 2024 as the economy grew by 3.46% in the third quarter of 2024, up from 2.54% in the third quarter of 2023. He further highlighted the growth in the economy by asserting that Nigeria's foreign reserve had hit nearly $42 billion, providing buffer against external shocks. Sector debate on the budget by legislators in both chambers of the National Assembly is expected to commence immediately. Governor Oborevwori has advised Nigerians to reflect on Christmas and demonstrate love and kindness to one another. Governor Oborevwori gave the advice during an interdenominational festival of 9 lessons and carols organized by the state government and the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN Ecumenical Center, Asaba. Pere Botu has details.
The Delta State Interdenominational Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols attracted top government functionaries, traditional rulers, and religious leaders, among others. It featured musical renditions by the state mass choir and congregational renditions. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, represented by the state deputy governor, Sir Monday Oyeme, said he would uphold the values of Christmas and work in line with the more agenda of his administration to guarantee the state's prosperity and hope to all. He urged Deltans to show kindness to persons around them, especially the less privileged, this festive season. The governor reminded the people not to abandon their responsibilities as citizens and strive to build a just, equitable, and peaceful society, even as they celebrate the Christmas.
As we gather to sing carols and rejoice, let us remember the true spirit of Christmas. Let us reflect on the values of love and kindness and generosity that this season represents. I pledge to continue to hold these values and to work tirelessly in line with the more and to ensure that our state remains a beacon of hope and prosperity for all Deltans.
In his exhortation, the president of the Anioma Baptist Convention, Reverend Paul Anyansi, said that the celebration of Christmas was God's promise to mankind and described God as a promise keeper.
The Spirit reminds us that God is ever faithful to his word. No matter how long it takes or how impossible it seems, just as Christ's birth proves God's trustworthiness, his promises to us today are also reliable and sure. And that's what I want us to take home on this Christmas, that each time we celebrate Christmas, we are celebrating the fulfillment of the promises made to us by God many years ago and the restoration of hope when Christ was born as the Redeemer of the whole world.
The governor took the first lesson titled The Fall of Man from the book of Genesis 3, 8-19, while the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Imomotimi Guwo, took the second title, The Promise of a Seed to Abraham. The third lesson was read by the Deputy Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Ato Akpowo. Representative of the State Chief Judge, Justice Teresa Dayi, took the fourth lesson, while the State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Honorable Pat Ajidwa, read the fifth amidst intermittent musical renditions. The sixth lesson, titled The Birth of Christ, was read by the Permanent Secretary in the Basic and Secondary Education Ministry, Sir Austin Ogoro, who stood in for the State Head of Service, Mr. Reginald Bayoku. A representative of the Asagba of Asaba, Obi Professor Epifani Yazinge, read the seventh lesson, while the State Commissioner for Higher Education, Professor Yenro Tonikari, read the eighth lesson. The ninth lesson was read by the State Chairman, Reverend Lucky Osagbako. The Carol night was marked with prayers for the state government and the country. I am Pere Botu reporting.
Governor Sheriff Oborewori has advised Nigerians to reflect on Christmas and demonstrate love and kindness to one another. Governor Oborewori gave the advice during an interdenominational festival of 9 lessons and carols organized by state government at the Christian Association of Nigeria CAN Ecumenical Center, Asaba. Pere Butu has details.
The Christian devotees zealously tripped into the calm, worshipful atmosphere of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN Secretariat, in colorful ties and with bright faces. The hall was stretched to its utmost capacity as all the seats were taken. Those who spoke on the importance of the event said it was both a reflection on mankind's shortcomings and the gift of God's Son, Jesus Christ. They called on all not to give up, no matter the hard times, and show Christ-like love to their fellow men.
Meanwhile, the Festival of Lessons and Carols has been identified as yet another opportunity for believers to express their appreciation to God for the gift of life through His only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Our news crew spoke with a cross-section of the worshippers at the CAN Secretariat venue of the event. Okay, we'll bring it back. We'll bring it to you subsequently. The place of songs in the worship of God has been highlighted. Congregants at the Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols, organized by the state government to put residents in the mood of Christmas, shared their views on worshiping God with songs. Henry Usiayo, who was part of the mass choir at the festival, reports.
After escaping from the Egyptians through the Red Sea, the Israelites sang a song to the Lord, as recorded in Exodus chapter 15. Singing was also part of the Israelites' form of worship in tabernacles and temples. 1 Chronicles chapter 6. The Psalms bear rich testimony that in joy and sorrow, in praise and lament, the faithful raise their voices in songs to God. The Bible also recorded in Matthew chapter 26 verse 30, Jesus sang a hymn with his disciples. In this age, what does singing represent to believers?
Now, when we gather together in worship, the only thing that lightens the worship mood and leads our souls to God in the mood of worship is singing.
In Christendom, singing is very much important because right from time immemorial, God charged us in the Bible that we should worship Him with songs, with hymns, psalms, and songs, which indicates that there won't be worship, there wouldn't be a complete worship without singing. So, as followers of Christ, we need to sing to praise it, because the Bible says that God cherishes the praises of His people.
For instance, see, this is Christmas season, and Christ is the reason for the season. So with song, we are telling people the joy of Christian, which is Christ, the joy of music, which is Christ.
Significance of music in the life of a Christian. One, joy. You will ever remain joyful, and you are passing information of the lyrics of the song to people. People that doesn't even know what you're saying will start thinking on that song, the meaning and the exaltation of spirit in the song. So it's very, very significant to sing, not only in the church, anywhere Christian gathers.
Singing to God has been linked with spiritual benefits, including deepening one's relationship with God, experiencing a sense of peace and calm, reducing stress and anxiety, and increasing feelings of connectedness. The Bible is replete with injunctions to Christians to sing to God with instruments of music, including Psalm 100, which says, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, come before His presence with singing, enter His courts with praise." Henry Usiayo reporting.
From earliest times, music in form of singing and dancing played a pivotal role in the lives of God's people. And to this extent, music is seen as a form of worship to God. For Delta Television, Henry Usiayo reporting.
Delta State chapter of the Integrity Group has passed a vote of confidence on Governor Sheriff Oberewori and also endorsed him to be governor till 2031. This was part of decision reached by the leadership and members of the group at Leadership Summit held in Asaba. The group also presented Man of the Year award to Governor Oberewori. Speaking at the event, the governor thanked the support group for the endorsement and the award, pointing out that it is for him to do more through his development agenda. Governor Oberewori, represented by the State Commissioner for Works, Highways and Urban Roads, Comrade Ruben Izeze, said his administration was embarking on 513 road projects as part of measures to connect all parts of the state and pledged to do more in the coming years. They thanked Deltans for their support in the last 19 months and urged them to shun anything capable of slowing down the pace of development in all parts of the state. The State Commissioner for Housing, Honorable Godnose Angele, who was decorated with the Commissioner for the Year award, said a lot of housing projects have been captured in the 2025 budget, coupled with public-private partnership in the building of the Integrity Group of Nigeria. Dr. Oke Dawene said the group was impressed with the achievements of Governor Oberewori in all sectors and assured him of their support till 2031. Other speakers at the event, including Dr. Donald Peterson, Prince Obaru Onaure, Prince Obaru Onafe, and others, said Governor Oberewori had used the small agenda to raise the bar of governance and advocated that rallying round him will advance all-round development. The state government has debunked claims by unscrupulous persons that it has directed Fulani herders to leave the state. The special advisor to the state governor on livestock and inter-ethnic matters, Chief Jeffrey Azagba, stated this at a meeting with the representatives of the herders in Delta North Senatorial District held in Kwale, Ndokwa West Local Government Area. Henry Unogwa reports.
Chief Azagba said the meeting followed Ogbelogume community petition to the state government on activities of Fulani herders who illegally trespass on farmlands and destroy crops. He maintained that the state government had no plans to expel herders from any part of the state, adding that government would enforce the anti-grazing law. The special advisor enjoined residents to disregard claims that government would forcefully remove Fulani herders or any other ethnic groups from the state, and appeal to residents to continue to live in peace and harmony with one another.
Get a confined place and keep your cows. And again, your relationship with the farmers and community leadership. In so many areas there's complaint. What you are doing is business. Therefore, you should have the understanding within your neighborhood. Those communities you take your cow to, have an understanding with them. If they agree with you, no problem.
Chief Azagba reiterated that the state government would promote peaceful coexistence and harmony among all residents of the state, irrespective of the ethnic or cultural background, in the interest of the stability and the development of the state. He reminded Fulani herders of the state's anti-grazing law meant to address the escalating conflict between herders and farmers in the state, regulate animal husbandry, and promote peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers.
The issue of killing and other, the kidnapping, have been channeled towards them. So the states have advised our office to liaise with you people. Like I promised, I'm going to make this law available to every one of you as the leadership. You have a copy of the anti-grazing law.
The herders expressed satisfaction with the meeting and assured the state government that they would be peaceful while carrying out their activities.
What you can't talk now, everybody here, we don't understand what the government say. Data, now good place, you can carry a property, go and find what you the shop, nobody then stop you.
Henry Onogwa reporting.
The wife of the state governor and founder of the Umato Charity Foundation, Dickiness Tobore Oberewori, has treated wives of traditional rulers and market women to an end-of-year banquet. The event, which attracted market women from the state's 25 local government areas, held at the Banquet Hall, Government House, Asaba. Florence Oibodoro reports.
It was a joyful moment for the wives of traditional rulers and market women as they celebrated with the governor's wife in line with the spirit of the season. Dickness Oborewori said the get-together was to thank the women for the great roles they played in building stable homes and the state's economic prosperity. She explained that the market women were randomly selected from the 25 local government areas, stressing that everyone was important in the affairs of the state. Dickness Oborewori charged the royal mothers to sustain the peace in their domains, just as the market women should be intentional in their businesses and relationship with others. She said earlier this year, over 1,000 petty traders were imparted through the Renew Hope initiative of the federal government and the More agenda of Governor Sheriff Oborewori.
This is coming from the heart full of gratitude to God and appreciation to every one of you. I may remind you of the need to be intentional in your businesses and your relationship with your customers. I pray that you will not labor in vain. Your strength will not fail you. And you will enjoy a good health. And the Lord will prosper the work of your hands.
The wife of the state deputy governor, Lady Catherine Oyeme, commended Dickness Oborewori for her selfless service to humanity, even as she encouraged the women to remain steadfast in supporting the growth of the state.
Her Excellency is a woman of great vision and purpose, whose passion for bridging the gap between government and women is truly inspiring. She firmly believes in empowering women and ensuring that their voices are not only heard but also reflected in decisions that shape our communities.
The State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Social and Community Development, Honorable Pat Ajudwa, the Commissioner for Trade and Investment, Honorable Samuel Elegide, and the Special Advisor to the State Governor on Women Development, Chief Eunice Anira, expressed satisfaction with the Governor's wife's gesture for the women and urged her to continue to pray for the betterment of the state.
A woman that thought of all the pet projects in the world and decided that everything and everybody matters. She has today assembled the high and the low. She has brought together the palace queens and the market queens to tell us that we all matter.
This administration has our state facility to women for them to expand for them. But we have this attitude. When we give them the facility, we have the people that this is government money, this is part of government money, you don't have to pay money.
Making a breakthrough that you have said, right? In our home, we sing, happy people, if Christ is in your family. The same thing goes, if Christ is in your business will move well.
In a sermon, the Assistant Chaplain of the Government House, Asaba, Pastor Greg Oko, admonished the women to maintain a close relationship with God. Some of the women expressed appreciation for the get-together and prayed God to establish the governor's wife and her family the more. Highlights of the event was a presentation of Christmas gifts and cash to the women. As you can see, the women are going, rejoicing, all thanks to the governor's wife. Florence Oibodoro reporting.
Governor Sheriff Oborewori has enjoined media appointees and media practitioners in the state to promote the More agenda of his administration and the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. Governor Oborewori gave the advice during the opening of the 5th edition of the Delta State Communication Workshop held in Asaba. The report.
Governor Oborewori, represented by State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Ifeanyi Uswoza, said the workshop was part of the government's effort to enhance the performance of the media aids to the governor, social media influencers, and media partners. He encouraged the participants to utilize the opportunity presented by the workshop and gave an assurance that his administration would continue to invest in the training and retraining of its media personnel to meet up with the new trends in the media and communication industry.
The need to enhance the skills and overall efficiency of media appointees to the governor in the propagation, promotion, and dissemination of the achievements, activities, policies, programs, and initiatives of our MORE agenda.
The Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Kingsley Emu, expressed satisfaction with the workshop and encouraged the participants to take the workshop seriously and highlight the governor's achievements.
The governor, for all the irrespective, a goal of jobs going on in our land, hospital reforms, road infrastructure, doesn't matter where it is.
The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Goa, represented by the House Majority Leader, Honorable Emeka Nwobi, said the government spokesperson were important because they played critical role in providing information on government's policies and programs directly to the public. Goodwill messages on the occasion harped on the need for the media appointees and practitioners to effectively report the activities of the state government.
The role of government spokespersons in public communication management, bearing in mind the exigencies of time. The classification, notwithstanding government spokespersons, press officers, or public affairs officers, primarily plays the critical role of providing information on the government's policies, projects, programs.
The workshop facilitator and Director General of the Delta State Orientation and Communication Bureau, Dr. Fred Ogenesive, said the training would sharpen media practitioner skills in promoting the policies and programs of the state government.
We'll be going through some modules and group exercise that would sharpen our skills in the discharge of our assigned responsibilities.
The workshop is being attended by the top media practitioners, including the functioning permanent secretary in the State Ministry of Information, Mrs. Teresa Oliko, and the general manager of the Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobeme Emetulu, represented by the Director News and Head of the station's News and Current Affairs Department, Mrs. Mercy Mwemofo. The resource persons include Professor Joyce Ogwezi, Professor Abigail Ogwezi, and Dr. Emmanuel Akobeta, who delivered lectures on the theme Advancing Delta Strategies for Public Communication and Effective Media Engagements. Norbert Onweme reporting.
I beg your pardon. Back to that news item. Media practitioners in the public and private sectors in the state have been charged to propagate the agenda and policies of the state government and portray its image in positive light to the society. The senior policy advisor to the governor, Honorable Funke Keme Solomon, gave the charge at the day 2 of the 5th edition of the Delta State Communication Workshop held in Asaba with the theme Advancing Delta Strategies for Public Communication and Effective Media Management. Gifts Unosha has details.
Solomon said the workshop would sensitize and sharpen the skills of media practitioners in disseminating information on activities of the present administration. He said the media as watchdog of the society should dole out the right information to earn public respect.
The first aim is to make Ugandans understand the policies and programs of the people. That's the first thing. The second thing is that by so doing, you should enhance the image of the state and help mobilize support of the people.
The senior policy advisor enjoined media to know their job description and ensure it was tailored towards advancing the state's development. The executive assistant to the governor on public enlightenment, project and policies, Mr. Olise Ifejika, in his remarks encouraged the media practitioners to demonstrate professionalism in their duties.
The first thing is that government is wisdom and life is strength. Government discovered that there is need for image makers of the government to have our skills sharp. Government knows they are doing well and think that with training we will do better. Your job is, yes, you are to hold government accountable. In doing that, you will be conscious of what you are doing to support the society.
The Dean of School of Information and Communication Technology in the Delta State Polytechnic Ogwashiku, Dr. Emmanuel Akpoveta, who delivered a lecture on understanding the media landscape, exploring the changing media landscape, and the role of traditional and social media in the society, noted that the social media had impacted greatly in the lives of the people and had gained popularity in disseminating information faster to the targeted audience. He advised participants to use the media for betterment of the society.
The older ones, they still prefer the traditional media to the what? The social media. The older ones. Like, if you go to many places, all those older people who are retired, maybe they have money, they are educated, they still queue for newspaper. They say, oh, get me a copy of Vanguard, copy of this day newspaper.
The head of Department of Mass Communication, Dennis Osadebe University, Professor Joy Ogweze, who lectured on building relationships with journalists, stressed the importance of developing a good rapport with journalists and enjoined participants to invest more on their intellectual growth.
Access to resources. The resources could be the knowledge, increasing knowledge, expertise, and then leverage on the networks of others. Also very good for personal and professional growth.
Gift Unosha reporting.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio has expressed disappointment over criticisms of the 4 tax reform bills currently before the National Assembly. He criticized those opposing the bills, accusing them of failing to study their content before voicing dissent. In his address during the presentation of the 2025 national budget to a joint session of the Federal Parliament, Senator Akpabio said it was disheartening that those who have not taken the time to understand these bills are the loudest critics. He urged all Nigerians, especially those in public office, to engage with the vital reforms thoughtfully. The bills, which include the Joint Revenue Board of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2024, Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2024, Nigeria Tax Administration Bill 2024, and Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, represent the first comprehensive tax reform since Nigeria's independence. The Senate President praised the 2024 budget's performance at 50% for capital expenditure and 48% for recurrent expenditure, as a reason for extending its lifespan to June 30, 2025. Senator Akpabio emphasized the importance of oversight and warned ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, to promptly defend their sectoral allocations, noting that the National Assembly would not condone breaches of the Constitution going forward. Highlighting the administration's accomplishments, Senator Akpabio commended President Bola Tinubu for bold decisions, including the removal of fuel subsidies and initiatives fostering economic stability. He also acknowledged improvements in foreign investment, infrastructure development, and social welfare programs, mentioning milestones such as increasing oil production to 1.8 million barrels per day, processing over 45.6 billion for student payments, and raising the national minimum wage to 70,000 naira. The Senate President urged Nigerians to endure the temporary hardships caused by economic reforms, likening the challenges to the pains of childbirth. The Minister of State for Works, Barrister Bello Goronyo, has said the federal government will soon begin penalizing vehicle owners who cause damage to roads across the country. Barrister Goronyo issued this warning during an inspection of the 58-kilometer road repairs being carried out by the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, along the Sokoto-Ilela Road in Sokoto State. He explained that the government allocates significant funds each year for road rehabilitation and maintenance and will not tolerate the actions of irresponsible vehicle owners who deliberately damage the roads. Barrister Goronyo further emphasized that roads are government assets intended to support a high-quality transportation system that enhances the socioeconomic well-being of citizens. The minister called on the state and local governments as well as residents to cooperate with the federal government in maintaining the roads and to report any unlawful activities to the nearest authorities. Earlier, Barrister Goronyo launched solar-powered streetlight projects executed by FEMA at Sultan Abubakar International Airport and surrounding roads. He described the project as life-saving, aimed at improving security surveillance for public safety, particularly in areas that were previously considered danger zones at night. In his remarks, Dr. Emeka Agbasi, Managing Director of FEMA, stated that the projects were part of the agency's mandate to improve road conditions for public use. He also commended the minister for his commitment to realizing President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda of national transformation. The federal government says there is need to overhaul necessary regulations for milk collection mechanisms and take inventory of the value chain. Minister of Livestock Development, Alhaji Idi Meha, stated this at the 2024 edition of the Continuing Education Program for Veterinary Professionals on Wednesday in Abuja. The theme for the event is Veterinarians as Policy Advocates, giving voice to animals. Alhaji Meha called for strict enforcement of regulations as well as nationwide vaccination of animals. He assured of government's commitment to expeditiously address issues of livestock migration, animal health, food and water, as well as breed improvement. The minister commended the creation of ministries for livestock development in sub-states of the Federation. Alhaji Meha described the gesture as a clear demonstration of support for the presidential initiative and the establishment of the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development. He said the existence of livestock ministries in states would facilitate policy coordination programs and actions, as well as accelerate the overall development of the sector. The minister appealed to states that had yet to create the ministry to do so as a matter of urgency. The Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, has released the preliminary report of the Sky 76 CS aircraft that crashed into the Atlantic Ocean near Bonny Finima in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, including the final investigation reports of 6 incidents across Nigerian airports. The Director General of the NSIB, Dr. Alex Bade Jr., while presenting the preliminary findings of the air crash to stakeholders in Abuja, said 5 bodies from the ill-fated incident had so far been recovered, while the bodies of 2 crew members remained missing. The preliminary report noted that the occurrence was not survivable as the helicopter disintegrated upon impact with the water surface and its various parts scattered, adding that some life vests and 3 bodies were recovered from the crashed area, while some of the bodies recovered had inflated life vests on them. The initial findings from the report showed that the helicopter was not fitted with a flight data recorder FDR, although Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations requires that FDR be fitted on the helicopter to enable investigators play back the occurrence. It also revealed that the flight crew used non-standard phraseology throughout the flight, adding that there were no standard call-outs for the various phases of the flight. The Bureau, in its safety recommendation, urged the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority to ensure strict compliance with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations. A Delta High Court, presided over by Justice M. Omovie in Ibuzo, has sentenced 3 men to death by hanging for the murder of the late traditional ruler of Ubuluku Kingdom, Obi Edward Akalue Ofulue III. The condemned men, including Suleiman Musa, Umar Muhammad, and Gaba Abubakar, Haruna, aka Dogo, committed the offense on the 6th of January 2016. The court also convicted and sentenced one Jamilu Ahmed, who was found with the handset of the deceased monarch for receiving robbed property. The prosecuting team from the State Ministry of Justice, led by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Anthony Ororo, called 5 witnesses to prove of the case. The witnesses included Pastor Charles Ugbo, who was kidnapped alongside the Ubuluku monarch but survived the attack. In her judgment, the trial judge held that the prosecution proved its case against the defendants beyond reasonable doubts. The court then sentenced the 3 defendants who carried out the kidnapping and murder of Obi Edward Akeze Ofulue III to death by hanging. The court also sentenced the first defendant to 14 years in prison with no option of fine for receiving the robbed property of the deceased monarch. It will be recalled that the monarch was kidnapped along the Obio Road alongside Pastor Ugbo and held in captivity until his corpse was later found in the bush days after. You're watching Delta Television News. Still to come, U.S. Democratic lawmakers calls for halt on transfers of offensive weapons to Israel. Please stay with us. We'll be back.
Why should they do younger like this? As you see me so, I don't become 10x of the woman when I did before. Berekete 10x.
Make you enjoy 10 times your recharge, double data, and other betterment on top, voice calls, IG, TikTok, audio and video streaming, Zoom calls, and other better things them. Dial *301#.
You never finish up. 1,000 naira welcome bonus for voice and data.
You mean all this thing for Berekete 10x?
Full for the enjoyment.
Is your line blocked? You can get your line unblocked free, fast and easy. Quickly go to any Glow World shop or SIM registration center near you and link your NIN to your Glow line right now. Got no NIN? Visit the nearest NIMC office, get an NIN, and then link it to your Glow line. NIN registration is free, so reconnect with Glow today.
Thank you very much. We're glad to have you back to Delta Television main news at 8. 28 Democratic lawmakers in the United States have called on President Joe Biden to hold the transfer of offensive weapons to Israel. He pointed out that the Israeli government has failed to comply with America's demands for more aid to enter Gaza. This was contained in a statement addressed to the U.S. Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken. Lawmakers Somali and Greg Kasser led the letter where Congress members urged President Biden-led administration to uphold its own laws that restrict military aid to countries that commit war crimes and block U.S.-backed humanitarian assistance. The lawmakers believe that failure to act would prolong Israeli war on Gaza, isolating Israel on the international stage and creating further instability in the region. Delhi's pollution has once again soared to hazardous levels, with a top expert warning that India's toxic air will have a bigger impact on public health than the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, the air quality was 35 times over the safe limit set by the World Health Organization, WHO, leaving residents complaining of breathing problems as well as itching in their eyes and throats. Authorities have urged people, especially children and the elderly, to stay indoors as much as possible, while doctors recommend wearing a mask. The global chief executive of air technology company, Mr. Frank Hamis, warned that this was just a short-term measure and much more needed to be done. Every winter, Delhi and nearby states face high pollution due to low wind speeds, vehicle emissions, and the burning of crop remains and firewood. Away from the foreign scene, we now join our business news desk for more happenings in the business sector.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has set a daily withdrawal limit on point-of-sale POS terminals to 100,000 naira per customer. In a circular titled Cash Out Limits for Agent Banking Transactions, released by the CBN Payment System Management Department, the Apex Bank advised all deposit money banks, DMBs, microfinance banks, mobile money operators, and super agents to take charge of the new directive. According to the circular, the interventions aim to address identified challenges, combat fraud, and establish uniform operational standards across the industry. All principal of agents are now to set a cash withdrawal limit per customer regardless of channel to 500,000 naira per week, adding that the agent daily cumulative cash out limit must not exceed 1,200,000 naira. They are also to ensure that agency banking activities are consummated exclusively through agent float accounts maintained with the principals.
In sports, the best FIFA Football Awards 2024 winners were celebrated yesterday night at the Aspire Academy in Qatar's Education City. The ceremony celebrated the world's top football talents, crowning outstanding players, coaches, and teams who shone brightest over the year. Spain's Aitana Bonmati claimed the Women's Player of the Year award, while Brazilian star Vinicius Jr., who plays for Real Madrid, secured the Men's Player of the Year title. Top coaches, goalkeepers, and memorable goals were also recognized in the star-studded event. A thought for the day. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Our highlights before we go. President Bola Tinubu today presented a national budget of 47.96 trillion naira for 2025 to a joint session of the National Assembly. The president said the budget was put together based on economic realities, adding that it would trigger prosperity in Nigeria in 2025 if well implemented. Community leaders in the state have been charged to always employ dialogue in resolving disputes for sustainable peace and development. Governor Sheriff Obrewori gave the charge at a meeting with Presidents General of Communities and Kingdoms held at Government House, Asaba. Senate President Godswill Akpabio has expressed disappointment over criticisms of the 4 tax reform bills currently before the National Assembly. He criticized those opposing the bills, accusing them of failing to study their consent before voicing dissent. And abroad, 20 Democratic lawmakers in the United States have called on President Joe Biden to hold the transfer of offensive weapons to Israel. And that's our news tonight on Delta Television. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Pauline Okole. Compliments of the season and good night.